is Fran Allegra, and I'm a civil litigator. I've practiced law in Florida for 25 years.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of practicing law?
Budgeting your time. You have a lot of people making a lot of demands on you. Clients always want to know what's happening with their case, and at any given time you're juggling dozens of cases, and then you have to take the time to review evidence, take depositions, file motions, argue with judges, argue with your opposing counsel. So it can be very time consuming.
What skills do you believe are essential for succeeding in the legal world?
I think that you have to be a great communicator, whether it's in writing, you have to be a persuasive writer, and also you have to be able to think on your feet, be flexible, and to be able to fall back and argue your first idea, your second idea, your third idea, and then when that fails, try your fourth idea. But you have to keep at it.
Can you describe a typical day as a lawyer?
Sure. You'll have a bunch of phone calls, probably with clients looking for updates. That's very important. You got to take the time to be prepared for all of that, because you don't want your client to think they're not important or that you're not rushed. Then you'll have a hearing. Ever since COVID, we have hearings mostly by Zoom, which has saved everybody a lot of time. And then you'll do interviews of witnesses, expert witness interviews, and then prepping your work for the next day.
How do you handle high pressure situations or difficult?
You've got to have a sense of humor, and you've got to keep it in perspective. In other words, be realistic, manage your time. Sometimes you got to put in late hours, sometimes you got to put in weekends. Those are rare if you manage your time well throughout. But there are lots of high pressure situations, especially when you're preparing for trial, and a lot of people are relying on you. So for those, it's just, you can never be too prepared. And you really have to know more about your case than anyone else in the courtroom.
What trends do you see shaping the future of the legal profession?
I have to say, I think I'm concerned that AI could impact a lot of the work that young attorneys out of law school are doing, right? Research and writing. So if you think about it, when you're a young attorney, you're going to do a lot of research. What is the latest on a particular issue? If a computer can grab that in 3 seconds instead of you spending hours, that's pretty daunting to think about how that could replace you. So young attorneys then have to flip and be about, what are you going to do with the knowledge that AI can generate, and how are you going to make sure that that knowledge is accurate? Because right now, everything we've seen generated by AI isn't accurate. So I think it's going to disrupt the industry quite a bit.
Yeah. And also, I heard this one time where this lawyer, I don't know if it's necessarily true, but I saw this case. This one lawyer was using ChatGPT as their source. And when they were making pretty compelling arguments until they brought up fake cases.
That's right.
That were non.
That's right. That was very well publicized. Yeah.
It's actually really scary.
It is.
How do you balance the demands of your career with your personal life?
It's always a challenge. Again, you have to manage your time really well, and you have to be realistic. When you're young out of law school, you're going to spend a lot of time working, and you're going to work hard, you're going to play hard. And then later on, once you've established yourself in your career, maybe you don't have to put in as many late hours, but it all depends on the work you have. When you have a trial coming up, everything is about that trial.
What advice would you give to someone considering law school?
A lot of what I said today to the group, I would gladly repeat, which is that to be a good lawyer means that you're a well-rounded person who has a lot of knowledge about lots of different things, because you bring all of that to bear in your career. You got to be a good communicator, you got to be open, you got to listen, don't judge, and be open and listen.
How do you stay current with changes in laws and regulations?
So our law firm does a pretty good job of helping everybody stay current by having trainings. We share everybody in the group of lawyers I practice with, and I practice with about 50 lawyers, but in our firm there's 500 lawyers. We try to share knowledge, have trainings, have lunches together to share knowledge. Also, information comes out weekly about new court decisions. So everybody tries to stay on top of that.
How do you manage client expectations in difficult cases?
That's a great question. You've got to don't overpromise and underdeliver. It's very important. You got to be very conservative in what you think you can deliver for your client. I used to work for a lawyer who would tell clients, if you want a guarantee, buy a washing machine, because there are no guarantees in the law. So you've got to be able to tell them the truth, and you got to tell them the most brutal, honest truth, and you tell them as early as you can. And you've got to explain to them how your view of the case can be influenced by new things that come at you. So you're constantly tweaking your recommendations based on facts that are emerging every day.
What misconceptions do people often have about being a lawyer? And what do you think of those misconceptions?
There are a lot of jokes about lawyers, right? What do you call 10,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. You know, there's a lot of jokes. And a lot of the career has been maligned by people who are greedy and obnoxious and just out for themselves. So obviously those are stereotypes, and like most stereotypes, they don't hold up. But I would say that you know, a lawyer with ethics and integrity, it will take you far.
All right.
We done?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you,
very
Mark.
much.
Nice meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you.